Welcome to prompt number 87. Let's just get into it because I have nothing clever to say. Alright, we've got, a single yeti. A lot of freedom there. Okay, here we go. Oh, naive past Kasey. Yes, a lot of freedom with a single prompt, but you know what you don't have? You don't have time preparing all of these videos for Japan. How many videos can I mention my Japan trip? A lot. Okay, so Yeti was this week's prompt, and I really wanted to work on how I drew a Yeti. I know a Yeti is basically just a really hairy, tall man, but I feel like a really hairy, tall thing could get really ugly and not very cute really fast. Sure, I should probably work on my characters and make them not cute all the time, but it's a curse. It's a disease making everything cute. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I started off by just drawing a Yeti, and then I drew a Yeti again, and then I started to think about ways I could incorporate a Yeti into an illustration instead of just standing there. So I drew a little mountain and had a giant Yeti kind of peeking around the mountain. I thought it was kind of cute. Looking back on it, I kind of wish I just did a series of small illustrations with mythical creatures peeking around, I guess, areas they live in. I did sort of end up going with this idea. Oh, by the way, I drew 3 more Yetis because I just couldn't figure out a cute way to draw a Yeti. I actually kind of do like the bottom middle Yeti the most, but I wasn't sold on how to use him, so I ended up going with that third sketch with a Yeti peeking around a mountain. I also decided to include a Bigfoot creature because I figured a Yeti and a Bigfoot are basically the same thing. One is just ice and one is normal. And by ice and normal, I mean one lives in the snow and one lives in just like the regular woods. One's white, one's brown. It's just the snow version of the other one. How creative us humans are when we make up this stupid stuff. I'm sorry if you believe in the Yeti, but let's be honest. Yetis and Bigfoot, big feet. Now you're going to have to forgive me here for a second because I'm going to get very controversial, so prepare yourself to jump into the comments. It's gonna get we're gonna spill the tea, as they say. Am I hip yet? Is Grandma Golden hip yet? They are just people in costumes. They just are. Anyways, I should probably talk about the art, though I guess we could sit here and talk about mythical creatures and Yetis and stuff. We'll get more on that later. So, like I said, I ended up going with this mountain little scene and having a giant sort of Yeti peeking around the corner. And then, like I also mentioned earlier, I included a Bigfoot because I thought it would be really cute to have this snowy mountain at the top, which, by the way, didn't put snow in there. Good job, Kasey. Maybe it's spring. The Yeti has to still live there even if there's no snow. So we have the Yeti at the top at the mountain, and then at the bottom we have the forest where the Bigfoot is. Maybe they're in a long-distance relationship. Maybe they just love each other from afar. Either way, I do think they would be best friends, so that's definitely what I was trying to show in this illustration. I don't think I am necessarily trying to say that the Yeti is this giant 50-story tall creature. I was thinking more of this as a sort of like postcard illustration. You know how, I don't know, there's just an illustration, it's like, yeah, this thing lives here. Here it is giant, just so you know it's here, but it's not actually giant. We're just showing that this creature is here in this setting, but we made it really big so you could see it because you also want to see the mountain because the mountain is really pretty. So we had to make the creature giant, otherwise the creature would be a tiny little speck at the bottom and you'd never see it. So like I said, not necessarily saying the Yeti and Bigfoot are this big, that's just the way I am representing them, kind of peeking around where they would live and just being silly, just being cute. Along with the mountain and the trees and everything, I thought it would also be really cute to include other creatures that live there. So just a bunch of woodland creatures and a pond and a fish jumping out of the water. Just, you know, doing what I do best, shoving a bunch of small details in a small illustration and just giving you lots to look at. Ah, dang it. Okay, so the whole time during this illustration, I was like, what could I put on the side of the mountain? There aren't a lot of woodland or mountain creatures that would be necessarily on the side of a mountain. There are mountain goats, but this is quite a tall mountain. I just realized I could have put like an actual person climbing the side of the mountain. That would have been very cute. Oh well. Okay, did you notice that I finally used the trick of putting a sticky note to the side to tell myself where the light was coming from? There's a few iffy spots on the mountain where I just couldn't wrap my brain around the 3D object and where the light and shadows would go, but I do think this really did help me when it came to putting the light and shadow on a lot of the other objects and creatures. Something I struggle with a lot is putting a shadow down on one creature and then going to another and then putting the shadow or the light source coming from another area. Simply because, and I will admit, because it just looked better to put the shadow at another spot. And it's not necessarily always something I think about. Sometimes I just get into the groove of making things look as good as I can. And when I do that, I end up ignoring light sources, I suppose. So this is a trick I've been telling myself to be doing for months and months and months now. But I just get so caught up in the moment of creating something, or I just get so excited, or I get so nervous that I don't really think about doing this. So finally, I got my little sticky note and put the sun on the side and had arrows pointing down so that I knew and I would keep seeing it. And hopefully I would put the light and the shadows in the same spots for the entire illustration. Like I said, I think it did a good job, so I'm definitely going to try to remind myself to do this because it's a really good and simple trick. That said, we can talk about color also. Because this is an outdoorsy sort of natural illustration, I was pretty excited to finally be able to use those earthy tones I've been trying to get myself away from a little bit lately. Sure, you can use different colors, you can brighten things up. Things don't have to be green if it's grass. Rocks don't have to be gray. But that's just the way I like to do my art. I like to stick to things that are pretty much for the most part realistic. I know there's a lot of people out there that really play around and push the boundaries of color, but I'm just not that person. You don't gotta be everybody. Something I did really enjoy with this one was the color of the mountain. I think it did dry a little more gray afterwards than I had really expected, but there is a little bit of purple inside the gray molecules of the paint, there's purple. I mixed some purple into the gray and I just wanted to add a little bit of more color to it because I didn't want it to just be a gray mountain. That might be kind of sad. I thought it would really help in adding just a little bit of color, and I really do like the way it looks, especially the really dark shadowy bits on the left where if you can tell, the wolf is howling. It's really dark over there, and I just love that really deep gray purple color. I don't always hate the color purple. I definitely am okay with some really deep, dark purples. Just not those bright, colorful ones. I'm not into that. Overall, I will admit I'm really not that happy with my final designs of the Bigfoot and the Yeti, and I would not be surprised if Bigfoot was a prompt later on in the book. If it is, I will definitely try to link this video and talk about it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I have already drawn a few things, of course, that has popped up. I'm not expecting them to not have a lot of the things I've drawn. In fact, if you are my patron, you know when the pirate and unicorn prompt popped up, I did a lot of different illustrations. In fact, that is not the final illustration. I went all the way through inking a set of illustrations, and let's just say there was a ninja in there, and then later on, we got ninja. So it's really funny to see myself draw something and then it ends up popping up later as a prompt, and I'm getting off topic for sure. Oh, I also wanted to say I am coming back from Japan this week, which means we will be continuing on with you guys being able to join in the prompts. I will actually be on a plane back to Canada when you guys watch this video. So if you missed joining in on the prompts, they will be continuing next week. So you guys get to start off again with Yeti. I'm very excited. So I hope you guys are excited to get back into it too. And that is it for this prompt. A very rambly prompt. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! And if you didn't catch that during the video, fan prompts are continuing next week, so be sure to hashtag Kasey the prompt with your drawing of a Yeti, and it might make it on the end of the next prompt video. Okay, bye!